Chapter 3, Literature Review. Research is a systematic investigative process to increase our existing knowledge about a concerned subject, or it can revise our existing knowledge. So we can divide the research into basic and applied. The basic research, it increases our existing knowledge, but applied research, it applies that basic research to develop new processes, new products, new knowledge. It can throw light over totally unknown area. Now, what is literature review and why we should do it? What is it? How to write it? And what are the ethical concerns that we will discuss one by one. We will come to this chart after finishing the chapter in the end. So let us start with the first one. Why we should do it? Because it saves time and work for researcher. It helps us to know the subject better. It suggests new topics, questions and methods, and it identifies where the lacunae in existing knowledge is there, and it is helpful for writing the introduction, method and discussion section of a manuscript. So why we need it? Saves yourself from work, know the subject matter better, suggest new topics, question, methods, so all of the above. All are correct about literature review except it identifies lacunae. That is true. Saves valuable time. True. It helps in arriving conclusion. No. Literature review is just up to methods. You can arrive conclusion by actually conducting result, getting data, and then arriving at conclusion by interpreting it. So literature review is just give you a basic framework based on which you can develop your research methodology. So it has nothing to do with your conclusion. So that is the answer here. While drafting a scientific manuscript, literature review is useful on following section. It helps us to write abstract, introduction, method, and also at some point discussion, but not in result. Right, results are basically not based on literature review. That is based on your actual study after collecting data. So what is this literature review? Literature review is just not a summary which presents the existing knowledge concisely. It is more than that. So it is basically made up of two components. The first component is information seeking. Whenever you want to do any research, first of all you scan the literature which is already available. You identify useful articles, books, and this is known as systematic literature search. So first you go and look for the information which is relevant to your topic. That is known as information seeking. Then critical appraisal of retrieved study, and this is the most important step of literature review. That means how or will you identify whatever material that you have found out, articles, books, that out of those articles or research material that you have gathered, how many of them are unbiased and valid? How will you decide that? And that is known as critical appraisal. So what is the process? So it is a very organized process and systematic process. So what will you do? First of all, you collect the information and then you organize that information so that it relates only to your concerned question. Then you synthesize the result of this organized literature by summarizing it, that what is known about the topic and what is yet to be found, what is still not known. That will help you to know that what is the lacunae in current literature, and based on that lacunae, what's not known, you can develop new research question based on that. Now, how to arrange all this gathered material chronologically? So for that, fortunately, we are living in a technology era. We have reference management software which are available like Zotero, Mendeley, RefWorks, EndNote, Citation C. So many of them are there. The Zotero is one of the open source, but Mendeley is also excellent. I'm using it for many years now. EndNote is also excellent. Whatever suits you, you can use them to arrange your literature chronologically. So let us do the questions. Literature review is a well thought, organized search for literature, either in library or online database. No. We are not looking for all literature published in a particular topic in library or online database. It is again going back, so that we scan the literature efficiently using manual or computerized method to identify set of only potentially useful articles. We are not looking for all the articles, only which are useful, right? So it is a catch. This sentence is very tricky. At first it appears as true, but it is not, right? Which of the following is incorrect about literature review for a proposed study? It begins with literature search, that is true. It involves critical appraisal, that is also true. It presents existing knowledge concisely, that is also true. It guides the finding. No, it does not guide the finding of your study. The study has to be done yet. Literature review is just helping you to find a research question and develop methods around it, right? So it has nothing to do with the result or finding. Researcher conducts ROL to identify a set of potentially useful articles related to the research topic. So that is known as information seeking. And process of scanning literature to find out such useful article is again information seeking. Literature review is method of identifying study which are unbiased and valid. That is critical appraisal, that is true. So whatever articles you have found, how many of them are unbiased and valid, that process is known as critical appraisal. Ability to apply principles of analysis to identify studies which are unbiased and valid, that is critical appraisal. Choose the correct sequence of steps of systematically doing literature search from below. So first of all, you organize the information, then you synthesize the results out of it, identify the existing gap or lacunae, and then you develop your research question. So I think D justifies this step in a sequential manner. So it is the answer here. Okay, so we know what is information seeking. Now there is something known as information retrieval, identifying a subset of document whose content is most relevant to users' need within a large document collection. First, that means when you say information seeking, that is systematic literature search, you have gone on internet or in library and you have identified useful articles and books and you have gathered them, you have made a database out of them. But when you need it, not all of them, but you need only certain document out of it, when you retrieve them, when you identify them, that out of this collection which are actually most relevant to my need, that process is known as information retrieval. That is the well thought out and organized search for all literature published on a particular topic, right? And IR is finding material of unstructured nature that satisfied an information need from a large collection. So from large collection of documents, whatever is relevant to you or as a researcher relevant to you, when you find that is known as information retrieval, and it has two components, indexing and query. So there is a database and indexing is basically a data structure that allows you to retrieve the records from this database, and query is how you get that documents, right? So indexing is a component of information retrieval system. So I think now it is very clear what is the difference between information seeking and information retrieval. Search process is information seeking, and what it will result is known as information retrieval. Process of identifying within large document collection, this word is very important. A subset of document is whose content is most relevant is basically retrieval. A researcher wants to study effect of physical activity on reduction of blood pressure with hypertension, and subset of document has been identified which are most relevant, that is basically information retrieval. A researcher wants to assess effects of PUFA on diabetes progression. For this, I find articles in PubMed and Google Scholar, and this process is known as information retrieval. PubMed and Google Scholar are a large database collection, out of which if you found a subset of articles which are relevant to you, that is known as information retrieval. So this database, they basically organize collection of articles. For example, e-library, PubMed is a huge database, right? And general information, we use Google, that is the largest database available at present. Or for health, we use HON, Health on Net certified sites. But for our specific query, usually specific scientific databases are available, out of which the famous one is the PubMed or Medline. There are others also like Embase, Stuxnet, Lil ACS, TripPro, Scopus, Google Scholar, but PubMed is the most standard one. And some of them are free, open access, some are fee based or paid, and systematic reviews or meta-analysis or Cochrane library is also there. So these are various large databases which has a huge collection of articles. So because PubMed is the most popular and most commonly used one, we will discuss it. And PubMed is a huge database. It has almost more than 25 million citations for biomedical literature, and it is maintained by National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is situated in United States National Library for Medicine under NIH, that is National Institute for Health, and it is free and it is open to access. And each and every PubMed is a collection of abstract as well as full text article. So each abstract has a link to its full text article. So when you can freely access PubMed, then it will redirect you to another website or another portal that is known as PMC, that is PubMed Central Portal. So PubMed Central Portal has access to free full text article. You have not to pay a single penny or fee for that, right? And apart from that, US National Library of Medicine also maintaining their own set of predefined vocabulary. Now this is very interesting, and these are known as MASH, medical subject headings. So medical subject heading is NLM controlled vocabulary thesaurs used for indexing articles, right? So they have given a set of terms, naming descriptors in hierarchical structure, so that it is easy to identify them. It is easy for indexing and searching the biomedical and health related information. So next time when you search in PubMed, use these MASH keywords and it will give you exactly what you want. So organized collection of articles, abstract, scientific proceedings, books, citation used for purpose of literature of review is known as database. When you have collection of everything which is organized, it is known as database. So here also database is a collection of articles which is organized. All the following are example of databases. Medline is a database, Embase is a database, SynHel is not a database, Google Scholar is. Medical subject heading or MASH is a controlled vocabulary thesaurus for indexing articles in PubMed. Yes, if you want to have vocabulary or keywords which are used for indexing articles, they use these keywords which are known as MASH in PubMed. What is incorrect about PubMed? It has more than 25 million citations, that is true. It has links to full text article from PubMed Central, that is also true. It is developed by NCBI under NLM, that is also true. It is a paid service? No, it is free, it is open access. In LLM, MASH means medical subject headings. Which of the following about MASH is incorrect? It is a thesaurus, is a controlled vocabulary. Yes, that's true. It has a set of terms used in a hierarchical structure that permit searching, that is also true. It is used for indexing and searching for biomedical information, that is also true. It is used for Embase? No, it is used for PubMed. So indexing is basically a data structure technique which allows us to quickly retrieve the file whenever we need it from a large database. So it covers all the terms in database which are usually common and used as a delimiters. Now, what is a query system? Query system is a component of information retrieval. When you want to search for it in a PubMed or Medline or any database, how will you do it? That is known as query system. Now, a query system in information retrieval process is user defined. Obviously, you will decide that how you are going to retrieve this information. And literature search is an important at the start of study as well as throughout the project, and you will need it throughout your research, right? So this query system, which is user defined, is also known as Boolean query. That is how you search in any database, which is either PubMed, Google or Embase. And this Boolean query, they use especially three queries. We use three words to search any database: and, or, and not. For example, when you use and, when you want to connect different concepts, for example, and tells you the database that you want records that contains all the words that you specify. For example, I put in Google lung and infections, then it will give me result of all the articles which has lung information and all the articles which has information about infections. So items which are specific to lung and infections, I get all the information. So very huge information I get. When I use or, when I want to yield information about highest number of results, that means I'm not concerned that infection should be in lung. I'm concerned even if lung is there in any article or if infection is there in any article, both should be shown to me. Then obviously anything about infection and anything about lung will come to me as a result. So it has the maximum number, right? But when I want that only I need information about lung but not about infections, then I will use the word not. So connecting keywords which need to be excluded, it is put after not. So lung, not infections, right? So query system in information retrieval process is user defined. Literature search is important and it do not need to continue throughout project. No, literature is important to its start, but it has to be needed throughout the project. So this is a very tricky one. First line is correct, second is incorrect, so total sentence is false. In Boolean search strategy, and tells that database that you records that contains all the words that we specify. That is true. PubMed will give relevant articles for following question: what is the burden of gastroenteritis among children? So you should use gastroenteritis and children, right? Which will give you highest number or. Which of the following purpose or is commonly used when you want to connect synonyms of one key concept, right? Which of the following search query should be used to define articles on chest pain other than angina? We want to exclude angina, so we have to use not as a Boolean query. Now critical appraisal. Now you have all the articles which are relevant, but how to decide whether they are unbiased or valid? That process is using a principle of analysis, and that is known as critical appraisal. So that means we select articles which are of good quality, and that's why we have to read and critique those articles, but we have to be scholarly. We should not be too critical or too harsh about it. We should compare methods, result and findings in all these articles, and we should tabulate this information for easy comparison. And then place all the studies ideally chronologically, and you put a recent study first. That means in top rows you put the last one, right, which has been done. So it will look something like this, that you cite the name of the study, what is its design, what were the objectives, what is the study population, size, what they have measured, outcome and results, and what is their conclusion. So you compare all of them, and top one should be the recent one, right, in chronological manner. And we can systematically examine the research to judge its trustworthiness and value. Now there are different types of checklists available. For example, for non-randomized intervention, we use Robbins 1 tool, or Robbins 2 tool is used for randomized trials, right? And there are various others also available. So critical appraisal is done in an organized and systematic manner. Obviously, yes, that is true. So how to write a literature review for a publication or any other research? So first of all, you start with introduction. So first of all, why you are selecting this topic? What is the purpose of this review? You organize the review, and what is the basis of ordering? Go from most important to the least important and earliest to the most recent, right? Then empirical literature. It includes the quality studies relevant to topic. Explain each study, but not by copy pasting, by paraphrasing or in your own words. And be scholarly, not too harsh, not too critic, and be brief and critique each study's strength and weakness. And finally, a summary, concise presentation of what is already known and what is not known, and obviously your study will focuses on what is not known, right? What are the ethical concerns? Result of previous studies are presently honestly without distortion. That is to be seen. And other researchers' weakness, they have to be politely addressed, scholarly addressed, not by highly critical. Don't question the reputation or credibility, or don't get personal about other study authors, right? And obviously, whatever study that you are using for literature review, you don't forget to cite them, and you give reference. And most common style of referencing is Vancouver, and or some people use Harvard style. There are various styles which are available. So which of the following does not satisfy the ethical principles? Previous studies are presented without distortion. Yes, that is true. Weakness of previous studies are highlighted. That is also true. Previous studies are accurately cited. That is true. Reputation of authors are questioned. No, previous study authors' reputation should not be questioned. You don't need to get personal. You just focus on study, not on the person. Which of the following is unethical while writing an literature review? Contents from study should be presented honestly. Yes. Not distorted. Yes. To address weakness in scholarly, yes, manner. And sources should be accurately documented. It is not necessary to address. See how the word plays here. So it is necessary to address the weakness in a scholarly manner. So C is the answer here. Now, what are the various types of articles? So one is an original research, and that is the most common type of article. Some people call it as research article, some call it research, some call article. So they are all synonyms. Then there is a review article, that is comprehensive summary of research on each topic, and they are very widely read, especially by PG students and the person who wants to look for full introduction to a field, right? So that's all for chapter 3.